Hey guys, what's going on today? Infinity here, bringing you yet another video on the Call of Duty World Championship. It's time for the Day 1 recap, and what a day it was of Call of Duty action at the World Championship. Of course, this could be the last ever Call of Duty World Championships, and it's already been proven to be a good one. We had a number of upsets in Day 1, a few amateur teams really making a name for themselves among the pros, and a fair few upsets coupled with it. We're going to be talking all of that and more in the Day 1 recap. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get right into the pools then. Now we're going to start with the full pools, which had a couple of games each. So we already have some eliminations and some teams pulling through from the groups into that very, very stacked winners bracket. And we'll go through each pool one by one and talk about the big surprises and realistically what sort of the eliminations and who goes through and what it actually all means. So kicking off things with Pool A. This is a pretty by-the-books pool. I'd actually say you've got United topping the pool 2-0. Surprisingly enough, they did end up losing a map to RBL Esports. So props to them. But United cruising through regardless of wins against Celtic and RBL, the amateur teams in the pool. But Celtic, however, did surprise, I say surprise, quote unquote, in a way against Elevate. They ended up winning that much 3-1, and that means that Celtic are technically speaking on course to qualify for their group for as long as they can beat RBL today. Elevate, on the other hand, not in such a good position. They have to beat United to even have a chance to qualify. Of course, it's going to be a really, really tough one for Elevate. They need Jesus, as it were, to qualify from Pool A. RBL Esports, on the other hand, can still technically speaking qualify if they beat Celtic and Elevate lose to United in a three-way tie. Moving on though to Pool B, we do have Enigma 6 having already qualified, and to me the biggest surprise here actually out of any team in Pools A through D is Enigma 6. I didn't expect them to do all that well. You have to think recently they made their roster changes, and albeit they looked okay at Miami, I didn't expect them to come out and top the pool simply because GenG were in it. That being said, GenG have absolutely failed here at Champs in day number 1. They've already been eliminated. They are out of the tournament 0-2, and their matches against WaR and Fuego were incredible to watch. It went to game 5, I think round 9 or 10. Harry ended up clutching a 1 versus 3 Fuego to ensure they won game number 1. And from there on out, it was a horrendous snowball effect as GenG ended up losing 3-0 to Team WaR. And they're coming into today already out of the tournament, having to play Enigma 6. I don't know if they're even going to bother trying in that matchup, to be honest. But it would be nice to see them give Enigma 6 somewhat of a challenge. What will be interesting, though, going into today is we do have WaR and Fuego for qualification. 2 European God squads, of course. You've got names like Dave, like Madcap. Between these two teams, it's going to be incredibly interesting to see who qualifies, because it really is a story of old talent versus young guns in that matchup. And, of course, that will be today, I believe, probably on the Bravo or the Charlie or the Delta stream. Moving on though, we've got Pool C. Now this is a very clear-cut pool. It's already decided at the end of day number 1, and it all comes down to the fact that Mesa just couldn't beat Units. They went to game 5, they couldn't do it. That was the match that was going to decide the pool for me, and it has decided it. FaZe Clan and Units have qualified. Really easy matchups for them as well. FaZe ended up winning 3-1 versus Animosity, 3-1 over Mesa 2, so only losing a map in each series. Units, on the other hand, as I said, game 5 series versus Mesa, they ended up coming out on top, and Animosity Esports couldn't do anything against them either. 0 map wins versus Units. So pretty clear cut. Mesa already done, Animosity already done, but kind of surprising there actually. I feel that Mesa didn't end up beating Units. Moving on to Pool D, the final pool of this graphic at the very least, you've got Envy, Reciprocity, Sage, and Legend Status. Of course, the latter already done and dusted in the Call of Duty World Championship 2019. 0-2 performance, didn't win a single map. I'm going to be honest, don't roast them. I'm not surprised in a way. This is a very stacked pool for a team like Legend Status. What I am surprised at is Envy 2-0. I absolutely expected them to not win versus Sage, and to be honest, like, I expect they did. Albeit it was a really rough ride. They went 5-0 up in Search and Destroy, only to lose that game. They lost it 6-5. It was an incredible performance from Vivid. I think he went on like something like a 17 kill streak, which is insane. Regardless, though, they did end up winning that series 3-2. And even more surprising, when it came to that match versus Reciprocity, they ended up taking that 3-2 as well. So Aches on champs form once again. Envy, I basically walked away with top of the group as it is, and will be coming into that bracket with the first seed from Pool D. The only question now is whether Sage can shock reciprocity or not for the second spot in that pool. If they do, it will cause a massive upset. Alright, so moving on to pools E through H now. There's a little less to talk about here, considering these guys are only played one match apiece between each pool. So we don't really know anything about who's gone through and who has been eliminated just yet. What I will say is we do know who has put themselves on a great footing. We're going to start with the biggest upset in... Well, I'd say this is the second biggest upset now, because technically GenG have absolutely shat the proverbial bed. LG versus Singularity. Now, I know for a fact a lot of people from Europe, they believed in Singularity, and I believed Singularity could and still will, because they still have to play them today, beat UYU. That being said, I didn't think they were going to beat Luminosity. I actually had Luminosity pegged as a team coming into this, just on paper alone. I think they were going to improve from Miami and actually be contenders to win the Call of Duty World Championship 2019. Singularity denied that entirely. Luminosity did rubbish. They were terrible. If you watch that frequency control, map number 3 versus Singularity, I don't know what was going on. They had 4 streaks between them. Formal started like 10-0. They had an incredible start, and they just lost it entirely. Singularity ended up taking them down. It was an incredible match. It was probably one of the best matches in Black Ops 4 CWL this year. Singularity ended up winning 3-0, and it was a brilliant performance from Singularity as well. Let's not take it away from them. They played perfectly, and the heroic plays from all the players, they knew when to step up, they knew what they needed to do, and they won. And that puts Pool A in a bit of a peculiar position, because now that match between UYU and Luminosity is going to carry so much more weight. Beforehand, maybe people who didn't rate Singularity and Vanity, maybe thinking that match was just a seeding matchup to see who would go where in the bracket. Now it's a match for elimination. Vanity, not really in the conversation. I think at this point, to be honest, they have to pull out all the stops versus Singularity and Luminosity. They did lose 3-0 as well to UYU. So, Vanity, I think, look, they're a real young squad. Awakening, I didn't actually get to see the Vanity versus UYU match, but I can imagine sort of the fact from what we saw in Miami is Awakening. He was an absolute god at the Miami Open. So if Awakening can wake up here and step up his game versus Luminosity and Singularity, maybe we can see something special coming out of Pool E. But at the moment, it looks like Singularity could be top dogs in Pool E. Moving on, we've got Pool F. Now, basically for me personally, Pool F through Pool H here, they're all sort of the pro teams just doing what they will in their initial matches. It is worth noting at the moment that the second seed hasn't played the third seed in each pool as of yet. So those close matches that people predicted, like Midnight versus Sicario, like Evil Geniuses versus Train Hard, and for me personally, Heretics versus Aspire, they haven't happened yet. So things could change dramatically, but from the off at the very least, in pools F through H, it looks as if the pro teams are handling their own, specifically Midnight. I mean, they beat Fury pretty easily. It was 3-1. 100 Thieves dispatched with Sicario pretty easily as well, even though Sicario did actually perform quite well in the individual maps. 100 Thieves, they were in control throughout. So that's Pool F. I mean, 100 Thieves and Midnight currently sitting on top. Fury and Sicario still have another day of Call of Duty matches ahead of them. Maybe they can step things up. As for Pool G, coming into Champs, I kind of expected it to go like this anyway. Train Hard are essentially a glorified pickup team. They're relatively new. Even if they did qualify at Miami, and they did very well there to do so. I didn't necessarily think they'd do all that well in this pool. Again, they have played Optic Gaming, who could prove to be a really good team at Call of Duty World Championships this year. But they do have to go for Evil Geniuses, who did look very nice against Carnage Gaming. So we'll have to see whether or not Train Hard can do anything. If anybody's going to beat Evil Geniuses, it's going to be Train Hard in that pool. Carnage obviously haven't done so. They lost 3-0. Train Hard, I think, are a little bit of a better team. Moving on to Pool H, though, this was the pool that I identified before the Call of Duty World Championships as the boot group of death. This was, to me, at the very least, on paper, it's the closest pool. I mean, Splice haven't looked all that good this season since making the change. I mean, people said about this Hue Contempt duo, and it didn't come to pass. But it was the Heretics, Aspire, and Hybrid sort of trio of teams that I thought was going to end up in a three-way tie. At the moment, it hasn't it hasn't conspired that way at all, because now Heretics have just come out and 3-0'd Hybrid. It is worth noting as well, Aspire lost 3-0 to Splice. So at the moment, the pro teams in that pool are doing fairly well. Heretics are absolutely holding their own, but Aspire Esports, man, I mean, like, I've got a lot of faith in this roster. I genuinely believe that they can beat Heretics if they play well tomorrow, which I think they probably will. It'll be a different story versus Heretics. So now we get to look at the bracket then. This is where those teams that have currently qualified will go into the bracket. So as I said before, it's going to be E United, Enigma 6, FaZe, Units, and Envy that have all currently qualified, and that's why they're currently sitting in this bracket. We also know kind of who they will face. So E United currently sits at the top. Of course, that's going to be the first in Group A. As we said on the last video, they will face second place in Group B, and that's going to be either Fuego or WaR. An interesting match, I think, to be honest with you, regardless of who Fuego and WaR, which one qualifies, E United are probably going to win that match just of how they're playing at the moment in their pool against Celtic. We still don't know nothing about H, G, F, or E at the moment, so for now, those matches are a mystery to us. So we're going to leave those out. We can still, though, talk about Envy. They've already got through first in Group D. They face second in Group C. And, of course, as we know, that will either be FaZe or Units. Now, I'm kind of hoping, to be honest, that Units lose, because it means that the next match, so it means we'll see Envy and Units, and then it means that the next matchup is the first in Group D versus the second in Pool C, and we could see FaZe versus Reciprocity in winners round 1. It'll be a Scraps versus Wuskin face-off. I can't wait. I want it to happen so badly. It is absolutely a possibility. It's on the cards right now. So let's just hope Units lose, which I never thought I'd say. Moving on though, again, same sort of story on the bottom side of the bracket. F, E, G, and H at the moment, complete mysteries to us, so we can't talk about it. But what we can say is Enigma 6, they're sitting pretty at the bottom of the bracket, currently in Group B. Currently sitting second in Group B, and that means they're at the bottom of the bracket waiting to see who will come second in Group A. So very well played to them. As we said, they have already got through. But that's how the bracket looks at the end of day number 1. All action will be kicking off for day 2, I believe 5 p.m. BST if you're in the UK, or 6, something like that, on twitch.tv/Call of Duty. Of course, you've got the Bravo, Delta, and Charlie streams all running simultaneously with group games throughout the day. An amazing talent desk as well. So a quick shout out to everyone casting the Call of Duty World Championships this year. It's crazy. It's crazy good. Everyone's doing really well. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you like what you saw today, please like the video and subscribe to my channel for more things amateur Call of Duty. And I'll see you guys in the next one.